Come on, you... Welcome back to Skyrocket Automotive. Mark III Ford Capri 280 Turbo Technics. This Capri has been exhibiting some strange behaviour. Initially, it had an intermittent cutting out issue, and then owner contacted me to say that the starter motor had completely packed up. We have a replacement starter. Surprise, surprise, it's the wrong one. Not the owner's fault. They cross-referenced correctly, but the solenoid on that one, totally wrong. Won't fit any of this stuff. I tried sending a direct feed to this, no dice, dead. Now the thing is, I don't know if you can see those. Those are bolts. This guy comes apart. If this guy comes apart, this guy can be cleaned, this guy can be fully diagnosed, this guy could be fixed. And this is the original Ford starter motor. So it's made it since the 80s. Maths never was my strong suit. There's no reason why it can't make it to the other 80s. While we try and figure out how to sort a starter motor for it, we're gonna figure out if we even need to sort a starter motor out for it. And I'm gonna talk you guys through how to disassemble, diagnose, and repair a starter motor. Because depending on the classic car that you own, you might find you can't get them anymore. Shall we make a start? Sorry, no, there's enough of that. I'm not gonna waste your time or mine trying to make fun. Don't worry, I'm not gonna give you the whole what is a motor thing. All you need to know is power comes in and this guy spins, right? We're not going any more scientific than that because that doesn't fix cars. A starter motor actually is made of two different parts. For the most part, you have a motor and a solenoid. So the starter motor has a gear. This guy engages with the flywheel. The flywheel has a thing on it called a ring gear, which meets up with this. This motor spins and allows the flywheel to rotate, which gets your pops and bangs going, engine starts, hence starter motor. So what's the deal with the big gap? The flywheel sits in this section here. When the Bendix engages, what that does is it's like on a corkscrew and it rotates out with this gear attached to the end of it. It comes into contact with the ring gear, then the motor starts, it spins, that's what turns your flywheel. So how does this move? Via this solenoid. So what happens in here, this is what's connected to your key. So when you flick the starter and you hear, I don't know, say you've got a flat battery and you hear doop, or on a more modern car it will rattle, that's this guy trying to operate and it hasn't got enough power to do so. So you've got a trigger wire which goes to that connection thusly, there. Ignore that for a minute, that's a Ford thing. Big juice comes in through here, massive, enormous orange. When the solenoid's operated, it launches your Bendix gear out, which activates the starter motor and lets it spin. This guy is what does the cranking. When you ride on the key, you're turning on the solenoid is turning on the motor. What does this look like from a wiring perspective? We've got our battery, we then have our ignition switch, which usually they have 3 positions. Off, ignition on, start on a Volkswagen, or maybe a 4th position, there might be like an accessory. Then we've got our starter motor. So our starter motor again is 2 separate parts. Think about it like 2 separate parts, okay? Motor, solenoid. The first thing we need is a power supply to run this honking great motor. The way we do that is we come straight from the battery. The second thing we need is a way of triggering things. Trigger, call it trigger, whatever. Obviously to complete a circuit, we need to earth all of this stuff. So how's that done? There is actually an earth link between the motor and the solenoid. Very often, the earthing is done by the interface between the motor and the block. But the important thing to remember is the whole starter is earthed by being bolted to the engine. You turn your ignition on, you turn it to the start position, which is usually spring loaded, so the key flicks back so that you don't jam the starter on and burn the starter up. Power travels down the solenoid. As this operates, it throws the Bendix gear forwards. If you imagine a pivot point here, so the arm does that. As it does that, it completes the circuit to earth for the main battery feed. When that happens, you get a rush of power which spins up your starter motor. So there's a few things that can go wrong. Why did you need to know that information? Well, because from that, you can probably already figure out what might be wrong with the starter motor. We turn the key to the start position, hit crank, nothing. Dead as a doornail. Now we need to operate on the assumption that we have tested the wiring. Once we've done that, we can then start looking into what's going on with our starter motor. No sign of life at all, no clicking or anything, says to me that the solenoid is not doing its job. If the solenoid was working but the motor was dead, or the motor had problems I should say, you'd hear the solenoid click. It'd tunk. It's quite a profound, because it needs a lot of energy to pull back. Good news is getting a solenoid off is not the most difficult job in the world. We'll get ourselves a bro on, we'll pull this guy down, we'll see what's going on. First step, I want to get this solenoid out. Before we do anything, I've gently put this in a vise. I haven't crushed it down, you don't need to. As long as it's just stable, you'll be fine. These bolts do like to stick. Someone's already taken a crack at these and stripped them. That says to me this has been refurbed or rebuilt in the past. I've managed to get this guy loose. Happy days. This one is loose now. But let me explain. This was so stripped that it wouldn't undo properly. So what you do, you get yourself a punch. I like this one because it's got she's a hollow point for extra damage. Out to the edge will give you more effective torque, and you tap round, literally. Once it starts, now yes, I've just done that off camera, but I'm gonna do it with this one. So as we can see, this is badly rounded. Well, that's not turning at all. You want to start out just off of vertical. You want the punch to bite into the head of the bolt initially. Once you feel it start to bite, you can put a bit more angle on. It will take a little going over. Obviously, I'm also struggling because the camera's right there. You see what I mean? It's like a hand's width away. So forgive me / don't worry about it. Apology accepted. Right. It will go, just need a little patience. Ah, there we go. Right. Once you get rid of the initial clamping force, the bolt will slacken off and be much more accommodating with regards to turning. Now we've mangled that one, that's fine. Get something to fit, because like I say, now the bolt's going to be fairly loose in the thread. Even this little baby, this is a tiny little flathead that I use for tuning carburetors, even that's enough. There we go, undone. So we can get back off the bench now. Now we undo our earth strap. So let's get a 13 millimeter. Do not fall off of there, please. Tread carefully. There we go. Give that a little wriggly-roo. I mean, all this needs cleaning up. Look, see all the scabby rust? We can take care of that as well. Right, job's a good one. Whistle these screws out. They look to be standard M6, I would say. It's M6 countersunk screws. Righto. We'll put that to one side for a minute. Now, we've got our return spring and plunger, so I can now show you how this works. Right. What you're actually looking at there is a bit of excellent news. The starter is not seized. Let me get rid of these bolts a minute. Over there, please. Stop. That's a great bit of news. So the starter, the Bendix, is in fantastic condition. That is free as a breeze. I think we're looking at an iffy solenoid. So if we can wake this guy up, even better news. How do we wake this guy up? Quick disclaimer. Let's get it out of the way. I'm not responsible for any damage, loss, injury, etc., etc. If you burn your car to the ground because you're not paying attention and you don't do this right, not my fault, okay? This is how I test solenoids. It's how I've always tested solenoids. I've never once had a problem. We've got our positive to our positive terminal on the battery, negative to the negative terminal on the battery. Everything on the vehicle is disconnected. The battery is flying solo. There's nothing doing with the actual vehicle electrics. Make sure they're isolated. So this plastic shield is running perpendicular to this plastic shield. There's no way the two contacts can short out. Then I have made myself a jumper, not a pullover, a piece of wire. Find your trigger connection and you've got your positive there. You need the plunger installed. Nada. I think that might have just got a little seized. Let's try lubricating this. We're gonna get some light machine oil. I'm gonna just give us a little gentle clean up with a Scotch-Brite. We have got some scoring, and we'll come back. All right, I've given our plunger a light clean. I haven't gone crazy. The finest coating of oil. We will get rid of any excess. Back in, and try again. Will it chooch? Oh yeah, that's much happier. Sweet. Something I can see as a source of dislikes and snotty comments is that I've done what? Took the solenoid off this starter motor, jammed it onto a battery, got it kicking again, cleaned it and oiled it. Why am I not putting a new solenoid on it? This is a old Bosch part, German made, very strong, very reliable. Something I like to do with all projects with my customers is repair what's there. If it's made it this far, it will probably make it that same amount of time again, if there's no obvious wear or issues. If I buy a copy of this, it might only last 2 years, and then we're back again doing the same thing. And that's a £40 part. I now don't need to charge my customer the 40 quid for a new solenoid, potentially. Once we've been through the motor, I'm gonna reassemble it, and if it operates as well as the brand new starter that's in there that's got the wrong solenoid on it, we'll put it back in the car. We can't get a starter. There aren't any. But listen to that. At this point in the video, I hope you guys get what it is I'm trying to do. I'm trying to show you that very often when a fault develops, it can be repaired with what's there unless there's obviously been a failure. Sometimes things just get stuck. This car sits around a lot, it's not a daily, and then it had the running issue and got actuated over and over and over and over and over again after not operating for a long time. It might have just got stuck. So let's get the bits that we need to pull the back off this motor. We'll have a look at the bearing this end, check the brushes have still got plenty of meat on them. Oh, at this point I should say, don't beat the crap out of this casing because the magnets for the stator are attached to the case, and if you shatter the magnets, it will lock the whole thing up. Be ginger, be careful. Keep nice even pressure down on these, and then they shouldn't strip. So in here will be our tail bearing, or a bushing, or whatever you want to call it, because I'm not sure what's in here yet until we open it up. Oh, Moses, there we are. Well, that tells us absolutely everything we need to know, doesn't it? Where did our cap go? And we have our little circlip. Remove that. Now, the motor's gonna droop like that, that's no problem. We can get under the nose at the other side of the starter and lift it back into position. Sorted. Job's a good one. Right. Be careful with these, you do not want to snap these off. These bolts are mega. No, I'm not joking. So they go right through and they clamp the stator housing to the nose of the starter. Try and find a point where we can gently tap, and I mean gently. Again, we're breaking bonds, not starter motors. This has been in dire need of a rebuild for a long time by the look of it. Oh dear. That looks like little tiny bits of brush. Not to panic, not to worry. Now, we want to carefully remove the stator housing, jiggle side to side. Our Bendix gear, let me bring you down, not vibe-wise. Our Bendix gear is attached to our motor. This little plastic fella here wants popping out, like so. All of this is going to get a nice meticulous clean. That's just a little bit of a bearing surface, and now we can bring everybody out. So that's the motor disassembled from the nose of our starter. We've got bits. So we may be looking at a failure here. Okay, that is, ooh, okay. That's as much as I need to know. It will turn. We need to clean out all those bits. We need to find out what those bits are. I'm suspecting they're bits of brush. I hope they're not bits of magnet. You just want to gently prise this out. Okay. Yeah, look, those, it's the brushes. The brushes have melted, I believe. I think that's what our problem is. We need potentially a brush pack. So that's fine. This will be a Bosch part. I would imagine there's probably a part number on there. Our motor, we need to clean that housing out. Look at the state of that. Yep. I can see a problem with that on our commutator as well. I'll explain all of this, don't worry. We're tearing down right now. Massive circlip there. Wow, that sure did leave, didn't it? Can we with, yeah, there we go. Oh, nice. Lovely little planetary gear set in there. Isn't that beautiful? We can clean and lubricate all of that too. We should be able to withdraw our rotor now. There we go. Rotor, stator. Speaking of which, look at the state of that. Sorry, I promised no jokes, didn't I? Let's see what we can see. That's not good. That's not good at all. So I think our brushes hung up on this, potentially got hot and melted that. All right, not to panic. We may still be able to repair this, okay? This should just be able to go in the dip. We're going for originality points here. This needs saving. I'm gonna go and put this safe. See you later, fella. Okay, I'm actually used to going further than this, but the good news is we don't need to on this occasion. Our brushes should not be shattered little bits of baked carbon, leaving lumps all over my nice tidy desk. You can just buy the brushes with the little bit of braided copper on them, desolder them and solder new brushes on. Thankfully, we don't need to go that far. The part number, because Bosch are awesome and they used to put part numbers on everything. That motor in there, ignore the solenoid, we're just talking about the motor. The part number is 00011080035. In the middle of that part number is 108. Now, the good news is that's, as a motor, a fairly generic pattern. So it's just known as a 108 series starter motor. A little bit of Google foo later, 108 series starter motor brushes. Found a company called, I believe, Motor Electrical. Give them a buzz. They've got this pack ready to rock on the shelf. Can be delivered to me tomorrow for £19. So far, we're out a couple of hours labor and 19 quid's worth of parts. So this is well worth doing on your own personal car. You've just saved a bundle of money. Yes, we do have a little bit further to go. So what I call the rotor, technically, is called an armature. We need to get all those burred bits of copper off of there. That needs to be circular, it needs to be clean, it needs to have a really good connection, or it's just gonna grab hold of these brushes and smash them to pieces again. We wanna lubricate our gear set. So that's known as a gear reduction starter motor. I'm not gonna go into that, but basically all those gears need to be completely clean. We're gonna grease them. They've probably not seen the right side of grease in decades. We're a little under a third of the price. If we can find that exact starter motor working in good nick, delivered here, we're looking at, we're starting to make £400 sweat. And so far, we're not even a third of the way into that. So let's crack on. We'll clean everything up. We'll get the starter prepped and ready to go. And then it should just be a case of stab those brushes in, back cover on, in the car. I've never been very good at car noises. With the rest of the afternoon spent cleaning up and painting parts, I figured there wasn't really much to report, so it was just time to sit and wait for the brushes to arrive. And of course, time to have a look at that armature. This is going to be a laugh. This lump is bad news. Although, that can be smoothed out. It's copper, it's very soft. It's got to be worth a go, right? Don't, no, Yes. Okay. Don't let the time lapse deceive you. That was not as much of a pain in the backside as you might have thought. So I just separated away those two areas of the commutator. Literally just took some 80 grit. This is some awesome old stuff called Contour. It's like a linen backed abrasive. It's for use on lathes really, but it's perfect for this kind of job. This is just an 80 grit. Just worked it back and forth like that. And we have a little bit of a battle scar, nothing to write home about. And most importantly, this is just a generic brush out of I think it's out of a Jag generator. There's no hint there at all of any catching. In other news, it's the next morning. Yes, those guys were that quick. Oh, yes, sweet. There we go. So that guy is that guy. One of the biggest pains in the arse with these is when that spacer isn't there, because you have to try and compress all of these. But what you do is basically, it kind of works like a piston ring compressor. You push the armature, well, actually the armature's in the motor, and you drop this on, and it pushes the spacer out of the way as the armature replaces it, so that all the brushes come out. At the same time, lock everything down. So we have everything we need now. I've painted all the parts that need painting, so we got the cosmetics. This armature cleaned up really, really well actually. I can't see any other damage. There's a little bit of clag we need to get rid of here because we've just greased our gearbox. Happy days, see? Or you guys can spend 400 quid and wait 2 weeks for it to arrive, only for it to transpire that all they've done is spray paint it black, as we discovered with the Car Throttle 924 that time, when we had to make one half decent starter motor out of two knackered ones, because they bought a refurbed motor and it was just, they just painted it. Let's go. Bang some grease on this plate. This is the base plate where the gears ride. I've greased the nose of the armature because this goes into a brass bushing in there, so we need to make sure that's lubricated. You want to try and keep this as straight as possible so you don't bash into any magnets. As you can see, it will pull itself through. There we go. Happy days. That armature looks crisp. So you've got a flat piece here, that's clearance in to allow this arm to pivot. So that goes in like, again, just slowly, surely with this. Yeah, you can see the gear reduction, look. Why does it do that? So the reason it does that is it converts the high speed of the motor to low speed torque. It gives you more twisting force. So our armature and our gear set is inside our main motor body. Now we've got the nose here. Now this is something that you need to pay attention to, is you've got these threaded holes. Those threaded holes need to line up with the holes in the body of the starter motor. If they don't, you've clocked things a little wrong. Don't panic. It's just a case of working out who isn't lining up properly and give him a rotate and he'll be fine. Tiny little bit of grease on here. Again, we just want to lubricate things as we go together. Doesn't need gobs and gobs and gobs of grease, just enough to do its job without getting melty. Looking good so far. I've done this quite a few times and there are still sections of it where I go, I don't know. We should find our screw hole there. See our screw hole there? Can you see that comparison? So everything looks like it's clocked okay. There we go. At all times, you can look down the starter and check to see if you can see straight through to a screw hole. Now the fun bit, we just want to get this little block in here that goes that way round. You can see the shallower indent goes towards there. Happy days. Now the bit that we're all here to see. This is our new brush set. Those two threaded holes there, you'll find will align with our cover, like so. So that tells us it goes that way up. Ooh, that's quite nicely potted. That's a bloody nice part, that. Okay, and then we're going in about here. You just want to Take your time slowly. You only get one shot at this. Line up everything with the armature. Bring it through. There we go, right, our spacer's out. Right, what I'm gonna do is run these down until they touch the face of this, and then I'm gonna evenly tighten them down so everything pulls back together evenly and straight. We need everything as straight as we can get it. As you can see, contrasting paint jobs work really well when you're doing things like this. Silver end cap, black casing. Looks the nuts, I think, anyway. Take pride in your work or don't bother, you know. All right, we've got our casing back together. I'm just gonna have a quick break because that's actually quite rough on the old hands. It's a lot of weight. I hope you guys can see so far, by the way, how relatively straightforward this job is. It's not overly technical. You're just taking things apart, cleaning them, looking for problems, mitigating the problems, sending it down the road, rebuild. There's a lot of hoopla made about rebuilding stuff like this. It's just parts made in a factory. So, yeah. So it's important that we grease that. We've got our little retaining ring in there and make sure that's properly engaged. And hook it on. There we go. That's now withdrawn. Perfect. These don't need to be crushed down, they just need to be nipped up. Do this guy up. We are almost ready to test, believe it or not. One starter motor. I think it's time for us to go and find out if that was worth doing or not. What do you think? I thought so. Let's go. I mean, it looks nice. The question is, will it run? Because it don't matter if it looks nice if it's not working. Oh, it's got some chooch to it, I'll tell you that much. Yes! That is awesome. One rebuilt starter motor. This is all kind of a moot point if it doesn't work on the car, so obviously now we need to put it together on the vehicle and test it. We have a nice spanking new battery to go in. What I want to do is use this battery just in case we have any problems bedding starters in. I don't want to deep cycle a brand new battery, so we're just going to run the old battery, giving it a load of juice. It's a donor battery at this point. It's going in the bin anyway. Let's knacker this one instead of knackering the other one. We'll try and get the engine to start up. Before we do, I want to have a look. The owner mentioned something about belts to me. Oh yeah. Okay. Alternator belt needs replacing. It will tighten up, but we've got belts to go in. And in order to get to that belt, we need to take the power steering belt off anyway. That's a whole separate thing. But so yeah, just in case we hear any horrible noises, it's just good to put your eyes on it and see. Was this a waste of time? Oh, hang on. Immobilise it. Come on, old girl, wake up. Yes! Awesome. Well, the starter's obviously working. Morning. How are you? Let's get the windows down. Yeah, that's cool. That's just belt noise. This car hasn't run in a long time, so we're just going to let her warm up and settle down. I don't want to upset the upper cart really. Mint. Awesome. I'm going to consider that a roaring success. I hope this video has been informative or interesting or what have you, whatever you get out of this kind of YouTube video. If you did enjoy this, please do check out the other videos on the channel. They've got a lot of this sort of thing where we have to repair things because we can't get them, or lateral thinking as to what's causing a fault. We don't just throw parts on things at Skyrocket Automotive. We find the fault and we repair the fault. I hope this hasn't come across as a look at me and what I can do video, because that wasn't my intention at all. It was just simply to show you that just because a part's broken, it doesn't mean it has to stay broken forever. A lot of the time with starter motors and alternators, they'll come with a core charge, which is you send them back your old unit and they do exactly what I've just done, and then they resell it, and that comes with a core charge, and that keeps the ball rolling for them. Want to make your own core charge? If you've got a starter motor that you've replaced and you've got the old one sat in a box somewhere, maybe consider rebuilding it, or give me a shout. I can have a look at rebuilding it for you. Worst case scenario, you've got a spare one for next time. You may even be able to pop it up on a certain website and make yourself a couple of quid and help someone else out who's got a car and they can't find the part. I hope you'll stick around and find out what happens with that Capri, because it wasn't in here for a starter motor fault, believe it or not. It was in here because it randomly stalls. And when I say it randomly stalls, it just turns off. And there's no pattern, there's no rhyme or reason. It just does. So we need to find out what's going on with that. Plus a few other bits. If you did enjoy this, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. It really means the world to me to read all your comments. I really enjoy the interaction that I have with everybody when they leave a comment and we sort of start chatting. We've got a nice pool of regulars on the channel. They're all channel members. I do offer memberships as well. If you just feel like throwing some money into the hat, there comes with a few extra little benefits, sort of behind the scenes stuff and live streams and extra videos. If oddball classic cars that have been off the road for a long time is something that you're interested in, then I would really encourage you to check out some of the other videos on this channel. There's some stuff here and some stuff here. And I don't know what it is yet because I haven't edited the video. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you on the next one, hopefully.